Okay, good night, dear audiences. Dear audiences. So, את זה נעשה באנגלית. So, אחרונה בעברית, נעשה את זה באנגלית. So, this will be a short video in which I will recount, I would say retell some very known ancient story, short story, with the purpose of illuminating, I would say, several aspects of Titan behavior, Titan female behavior, mostly in Earth, but it's not just in Earth, it's also in Venus, but I mean, it's more, I would say, evident in Earth because we live in Earth for now. And this is, and why is it important? Because this belongs to, apropos, you know, the system soul. That's like, I mean, a video that I just, replayed that I would say, kind of like stretches, the similarities in both sense, like the similarities and the differences between humans and Titans. So this belongs to something that is actually pretty alien to humans. I mean, humans, at least in our time, do not manifest this behavior. So it's kind of like something that is special to Titans. But the story that I will retell is not a Titan story, it's a human story from the time of ancient humans, like from antiquity, which and it makes it interesting because we actually get, like, you know, some kind of a key, at least a mythological key or a literary key to a behavior of Titans that is, I would say, abnormal or out of like the realm of like known or certainly common behaviors of humans, but it's indeed addressed in ancient human text, which means that at some point in history, יש פה שכנים עם inputs. At some point in history, I mean, at least, I mean, in some kind of culture, it was to humans as well, to some human females as well. I mean, when I say it was true, I mean that it was something that is not out of the ordinary, or at least it had some kind of, like, you know, place in their mythological mindset, which is, to me, it's interesting. So it is a short story, but I'll retell it, you know, just, you know, the best I can. So this is just a short episode from the Epos of Gilgamesh, and this is a very important, interesting, actually, piece of text because many consider it the most ancient, I would say, literary work, and certainly the most ancient epos that survived. This text is several copies of this thing survived, which means that it was I don't know exactly when it was written. You can Google it, maybe 4,000 years ago, something like that. And several copies of this thing survived. So I mean in different kind of, like, you know, different you know, percentage of, but but they're the same, like, you know, with regards to whatever survived. I mean, showed that it was like an accepted text. It survived on clay tablets, and so we have every kind of, like, reason to believe that this is actually this thing was very popular. I mean, לפחות בשר פה, at least, I mean, you know, the Fertile Crescent. And also it should be said that some you know, several episodes from this text, actually, you can actually find it later in the Hebrew Bible. I mean, so, I mean, it kind of, like, you know, like the Hebrew, the people that written and codified the Hebrew Bible decided to actually incorporate several episodes from this epos, like Alilot Gilgamesh, you know, the tales of Gilgamesh, into the Hebrew Bible. But the episode that I'm now going to recount is not one of these episodes. Like, you cannot find, it's not something that you can find. It was not, it was decided not to incorporate this particular episode into the Bible. But other episodes, actually, you can find several other episodes could be found in the Hebrew Bible, which makes it very interesting. I think the full name is the Tales of Gilgamesh, King of. So in Hebrew they say Erech, like the name of the city, but sometimes it's called Ur or Uruk. Uruk in Roman. I think that in Romanized form, or like in Latinized form, it's like Uruk, maybe, probably also, probably the source for, the inspiration to Uruk Hai, the orc, from Tolkien, and also Uruk Kasdim, which is actually referred in the Bible, and also there is like the ziggurat of Ur, which is kind of like an ancient place of worship that still exists, like for the moon, which is very interesting, and I mentioned it in some other kind of like context. So this was a great city, I mean, in ancient times, and known to be so, at least, in what you call the Fertile Crescent, that's Asara Pore, which is pretty big, I mean, and the king was, so according to the story, the king was Gilgamesh. Now, so I just recount one short episode from, I'm not going to retell the whole story, of course, like of Gilgamesh. I just want to recount that, to retell one short episode that I think is enlightening. I mean, when we want to discuss like phenomena that were, I mean, sometimes mentioned in this channel, like, like how Sivan Kriegsman behaves, like what motivates her thought, and also, but not just her. We mentioned Maya Malach today, like another example. So there are other examples. I mean, Sivan is pretty famous. Like I still don't understand why. Like, I mean, to this day, I mean, I don't really understand why is she more important like than other Titans, because there are many Titan females in this earth, and certainly in Israel. But anyway, so I mentioned her because she's referred to in this, in this channel, and also because many of you know her. have like an idea, למה הם לא סותמות את הג'ורה? למה הם לא סותמות את הג'ורה? יש פה כל כך הרבה מקקים. Anyway, so many of you, yes, but you should be said that, I mean, this is, to me, it's kind of like a repeated behavior. Again, I think today we retold, the story of Maya Malach, and there are others as well. So it's kind of like a reoccurring, I would say, meme in this channel. So we can say this is a phenomenon. Okay, so let's just, retell the episode. So it goes like that. So the gods, this happened, after, so there are all sorts of gods, like, in this world, and they created humans, and after some time, humans create, like, very big city, the city of Ur, Erech, and there was a king, Gilgamesh, and it was a pretty sophisticated city, for what was to be found in the world at the time. Now, at a certain point, the gods decided to do, like, to create human again. But by the way, in the Bible there is also, arguably, but it's, according to consensus in, biblical, scholarship of the modern type, there are two actually stories of creation of humans in the Bible that are incorporated together. Anyway, they decided in this episode that after, without destroying anything, like, everything is fine, but now we want to create to do like an act of creation again. Create human again, after there were already many humans. But now they decide, let's do it like in a different way. To make it interesting, because, create a human, we already done that. Like, it's like a dancing. Like, and you see they multiply, and, they fill the airs, they build cities, they have kings, great. But let's just, now let's do it in a different way. Let's now create a human, just one human, man, like one specimen man. His name was Enkidu, if I remember correctly, Enkidu. And let's create this human in the forest or in the jungle, like in the wilderness, like, where there are many animals, but no humans at all. And let's see what happens. Like, sounds like a great, like, interesting idea, like, to see what happens, like, you just, like a Mowgli, like create a Mowgli. There is no memories at all of any other existence, and no relatives, nothing, unlike Mowgli, but presumably. And just to see if what happens to this Mowgli in this place, like with all the animals, because it seems nice to us. So that's what they do. So these guys, they decide upon it, and they actually do it. So they create like a man, Enkidu. So it's like that. Like, he's created, and he's like. Is with the, like, and he lives with the animals. He does not die or something. So it turns out that it's like that he can survive in this kind of like very unhospitable conditions. So we actually he lives with the animals without any notion of humanity. He knows nothing about other humans. Of course, no kind of no speech, nothing, and no clothes. Actually, he's always naked, like the animals, and that's how he lives. Naked with the animals, without any kind of notion of humanity. And he's like a Tarzan, he's like hunts for food and do the because like jump in with trees and all of these things. like the basic Tarzan, like not the advanced one with the מכרות אופיר וכל הדברים המסובכים האלה אחרי זה והאורגיות אחרי זה, בלי הדברים האלה, או כאילו הטרזן הפשוט, כאילו הגרסה הפשוטה. So yeah, he's like a simple person, like in the forest. That's how he lives, and he survives, and he's like that's what he knows, and he knows nothing about humans at all. So, but one time, I mean, so when he's already grown and a grown man, he kind of like he ventures the forest until for the first time in his life he actually arrives to the end of the forest. Like you see, no more trees, like no more forest. That's the end of the forest. And after, so he's like shocked, but then he's curious, so he gets out of the forest, and he sees something that he's never seen before. He sees a road, actually, a road that was created by humans. He didn't know about it at all, and from afar he sees like a woman walks on this road, and he's fascinated. Like, what is this thing? Now, who was this woman that walked there? So, in this city, there was I would say an establishment of prostitution. There were prostitutes, whores, but there was in addition to I would say the regular prostitutes, there was something that was like I would say comparable to like royal prostitutes or very respectable prostitutes. These things actually existed. I mean, in human cultures much later than that. Like even like up to maybe even arguably even today, but I mean this is like, but I mean קורטיזנות כאלה שהם כאילו מאוד מאוד ברמה גבוהה, וזה היה קיים בהיסטוריה. It's something that is known from the history of humans, and this is like a very early example of such a thing, that like a prostitute, but a very high class prostitute, that she has a lot of money, like relatively so, she's completely independent, nobody tells her what to do, she only have very rich clients. לא אמרתי סיוון, זה לא הנושא, זה לא הנושא, חכו, אל תקפצו למסקנות, זה לא זה, חכו, סבלנות, חכו עד סוף הסיפור. So she's got only very rich clients, and she is like, she's not like, she cannot be abused or nobody can hurt her because she's like, even the king like, she's like, a quintessence even with the king, like even with Gilgamesh. And like she's like a household name, like in the palace, and like and she chooses the clients, like and she takes a lot of money, and like she's very respected, and nobody can discriminate her or subject her to like irregular things that prostitutes are subjected to throughout history. And also it should be said that like many lawyers, like in Israel today, not just in Israel, actually more Victor Feldman, but it's also something that they do in the United States. You see it sometimes in like Hollywood and like in television, that sometimes, rich lawyers in criminal law, mostly it's like in the criminal world, like not civil like cases, but in the criminal cases, criminal lawyers, and they are very rich and famous. Sometimes they take like, the clients, like very petty clients, like they represent very petty clients for free or almost for nothing. Just and it's called pro bono, like pro bono job. Like כמו אביגדור פלדמן, הם עושים את זה לפעמים, וגם בחו"ל. Like they represent like very poor and like meaningless, petty, mostly young petty small time criminals, and even though they are very rich, and they take almost no money for that, and it's like for the community. It's called pro bono. That's what it's common among the higher status of criminal lawyers, like the very rich criminal lawyers. So the same kind of thing existed actually in Ur, in Erech, like in the city of Gilgamesh, but with prostitutes. Like sometimes she had like pro bono projects. So so then he waits. He goes like towards her, and she like on the road, and then they meet, and immediately, like, and he's completely naked, and he's fascinated by her, and she is also fascinated by him because it's so peculiar. Like, what is this thing? She's not afraid. Like, she immediately understands that he's not dangerous because she knows men. Like, she's very kind of perceptive. So she immediately understands that, first of all, she understands that she is not dangerous, and second, that she immediately understands that this is the next pro bono project. Like, of course, he has got no money because he's got even not clothes. Like, he's naked, so how can he? And he cannot speak. So definitely, she understands he does not have any money. But she knows, like, from her heart, like, from the bottom of her heart, she understands immediately that this is maybe she was searching for a pro bono project. I mean, at the time, and she understood. Okay, that's the next pro bono project. That this is the problem. Exactly like, what she had in mind for the next pro bono project. So, but he cannot even speak. He's like completely, like, and he's like, he hunts for a living, and, like, he's got no clothes. But she finds a way to kind of, like, to interact with him, and after a very short time, they start to have sex. And they fuck each other for the next week, continuously. Like, they do every kind of possible sex you can imagine. She's, like, doing it with him, almost with, like, almost like continuously. Just with the necessary stops only to eat and sleep, like the minimum, like what you need, like, to survive. But, like, basic stuff. But other than this, that just sex of all kinds, 7 days, like, continuously. And after 7 days, that of course, he was a virgin, of course, so she instructs him, like, on, whatever. And after 7 days, that's what the only thing that they do, besides, like, the most basic, trivial thing that they need to survive, like, eat and sleep, the minimum necessary, the necessary, food and sleep just to survive. So that's what happens. Now, after 7 days, they decided, they both understand together that they had enough for now, and magically he is transformed. He's no longer an animal, and he has no wish to return to the forest. There was some kind of magic that happened throughout this week, maybe like maybe as a process, or maybe by the end of the week, like, it's kind of a culmination of the process, that is now not, in kind of like, in essence, like in psychology and in essence, he's no longer an animal. He's now a human being. And she understands it, and she's happy about it, that she's now a human being. So she decides that, of course, she's not leaving him in the forest. So she takes him with her. Like, he's just, following her because he knows nothing, like, what to do. So she tells him, like, whatever language or sign language, or, like, that, okay, go after me. And so he went after her, and she buys him clothes, like, very nice clothes, and, like, haircut, and, whatever, like, so he will look, like, presentable. And now he's like a presentable, man. And then she decides that, she wants to show him, to present him to the king. She was acquainted with the king, with Gilgamesh. And, like, she was a household name in the palace. So she could enter the palace and, and just, ask what she wants, like, an interview with the king. And immediately, she gets it. So that's what she's doing, and she's taking him with her, Enkidu, and she presents him to the king. So the king, now Gilgamesh actually became aware of this creature, of Enkidu, and they became very, very good friends. The king and Enkidu, Gilgamesh and Enkidu. So that's the end of the story. Of course, it's not the end of the epos. It's just only one story from the epos, relatively from the beginning. it's like it's just, there's many things that happen after that. But this kind of story, let's leave this video as it is and maybe postpone commentary for later, like if we decide that commentary is needed. So I'll stop now, and maybe we'll continue kind of like with discussion and of interpretation, super interpretation, deconstructions, close reading, data mining, digital humanism, anything like that of this text. We will do it in a later video.